There's discourse surrounding Sonia Sotomayor and whether or not she should retire, and liberals have some thoughts about that. I thought that Mehdi Hassan wrote a really great piece about that. It went over okay, but Senate Democrats in particular are pretty pissed off about it. So there's a lot. I don't know where you all want to start today.
Well, we all know Mike hates old people, so I'm sure he wants Sotomayor out of there.
I will say this. I'm really sympathetic to her because in the grand scheme, like comparatively speaking, she's really not that old. Right. She's 69, like our episode. But the thing is that she does have a lot of health problems, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's not exactly a one-to-one compared to the Ruth Bader Ginsburg situation where she was like 97 and had 84 different cancers. Like, she does have health problems. She's not that old. But I understand, like, Elizabeth Warren, some of the other senators are saying this is like completely unacceptable that people are calling for her to retire. But listen, we have to this is my thoughts on this, okay? And look, I like Sotomayor much more than Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But Biden could lose this election. And I don't think that the survivability of Sotomayor, like our right should hinge on the survivability of Sotomayor. So even though like I really do feel bad and sympathize for her, and I understand the argument of the people saying she shouldn't step down, I genuinely think she really should step down. And it pains me to say that. But there's so much at stake. How much have we lost within just 4 years? How much more? If the 6-3 majority goes 7-2, like how long is it going to take to reverse that? Or even get back to the point where there's a 4-4 plus a swing.
Listen, I'm sure if she doesn't retire and Donald Trump wins the general election in 2024, I'm sure Trump will respect her wishes and replace her with a nice liberal judge. Just like he did with RGB. He respected her wishes, of course.
Yeah. We got ACB.
Did I just say RGB? I did say.
You said
I said
RGB, yeah.
You said RGB.
Yeah.
That wasn't
good old Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Didn't she say something like that? Like my one dying wish is that you don't replace me with like some hardcore right winger.
Oh, did she?
It was something along those lines, or something along the lines of like timing of the election. Something that she said. But
wait until after the election.
Request was Donald Trump that ignored it right away. Mike, I have to agree with you. It really is a tough spot. But we saw what happened with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We saw when these positions overall having justices for life, that's a problem in the first place, right? Because now you're right. How long will it take to turn a 7-2 majority court? It would take all of our lifetimes. I mean, right now we're going to be fighting back against these Donald Trump picks probably for the rest of our lives. So if it gets even worse, but unfortunately the people who have power, they don't think that way. They have power. They want to protect power. And inevitably it comes back to bite them in the butt.
Yeah, and just this article from David Sirota that he shared, really, I think it speaks to that liberal hubris, right? This was from 2013. Stop telling Ruth Bader Ginsburg to retire. Like, I would like to talk to that author now and ask if she still has that same position. Because,
probably, honestly.
Come on. We lost so much. Just within a year, they messed up so much. Roe v. Wade overturned, affirmative action struck down, discrimination against LGBTQ people affirmed. There's so much, and there's like, this is just like a couple of years into this supermajority. So I just feel like we have to be overly cautious here. And I don't think that the hand wringing that we're seeing from like Senate Democrats is appropriate. Like, at least try to empathize with the people who are making this argument, because the people making this argument, it's coming from a good place. Like, it's not malicious. I could pull up some of the quotes from the Senate Democrats just to kind of give everyone a sense of what they said.
I bet you that author still does feel the same, because a lot of people view politics not as a thing that impacts society, but as like these personal achievements. Like, oh, isn't it amazing that she died while she was still serving? Like, no, that like there's a problem with now the rest of society because she decided not to step down earlier. Like but it's a fundamental difference in the way certain people view politics.
Yeah, and like I understand this argument. Like Peter Welch says, you know, she's not 70. I might remind some of my colleagues to look around, check their birth certificates. And I understand the argument, but it's a matter of like, are these health issues that she's been experiencing like isn't significant enough to merit concern? Dick Durbin says that he wants her to remain on the court. Chris Van Hollen, I think she's doing a great job. Nobody's saying she's not doing a good job, but he's baffled by the chatter. Elizabeth Warren says it's nonsense. Where did this come from? Warren said, I don't want to add any fuel to the fire on this. I think she's doing a great job, and I am grateful for her public service. It's not like they're taking this as some sort of a personal attack against her. And I feel like that's really, it's a straw man argument, and they're being purposefully obtuse. Like they know why we're making this argument, and not me in particular. Nobody's listening to me, but like people who are significant, like Mehdi Hassan, like other even notable liberals, they're making this argument because like it's a matter of life or death for so many people, literally, if she is not able to survive 4 more years. And I'm sure she will, right? But it's just a matter of an overabundance of cautious that we all want to exercise given the era that we're in.
Remember, Mike, voting is strategic. That's why you have to vote for the better of the two evils. But apparently, Supreme Court Justice lifetime picks, that's not strategic. They shouldn't strategically retire. They shouldn't strategically plan out when they retire, so that the president that they want to pick their replacement is in power. That, of course, is not strategic. We'll wag our finger that voting is strategic to the people who don't want to vote for Biden, but we won't do the same for the very powerful judges who have lifetime appointments. It's fucking amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And like, she's gonna, like, we're not, and this was a point that was made by one of the Daily Show hosts. I don't know his name, the other white guy, but that's not Jon Stewart. But he was saying, like, it's not like we're gonna throw her into like a pit of fire or something. Like, she gets to retire. You know what I mean? Like, she's wealthy. I would retire if I had the ability to do so as early as I could. So people are just like saying, like, hey, spend your golden years enjoying life, long walks on the beach. I don't know, go play Fortnite, whatever you want to do, Sotomayor.
You don't get all those amazing bribes and everything, though, right? Like, don't you stand to make a lot of money when you're on the bench from not bribes, gifts, tons of gifts. You know,
gifts.
If you're Clarence Thomas, yes.
Well, if you're Clarence Thomas, I don't think Sotomayor is doing that.
It's an investment plan.
Yeah, that's
I'm a very simple guy. As long as with Ruth Bader Ginsburg's replacement, I just required that whoever took her place also had 3 names, and we got that with Amy Coney Barrett, so I was fine. And with Sonia Sotomayor, as long as the next justice also shares a name with a Mortal Kombat character, I'm good. So give me like Judge Molina, and I'm good. I'll be fine.
4 syllables in the name too. I'll take that.
Weird rules, but I feel it.
Judge Sub-Zero. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm trying to figure out which character is Sotomayor. Help me out. Which one is that?
Yeah, it's been way too long.
Sonya Blade.
Oh,
Sonya Blade.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Sorry.
I haven't played the game in so long. Yeah.
Ben's a boomer. Yeah, I gotta forgive him. Okay.
Which character?
Yeah. So
is there? So I have a question. Let's say that spot is open. Can Republicans block? Like, use any weird strategery to block the next judge coming on? Because they can stall and stall and stall. That's the one thing I'd worry about, right? Like, that's what
they still hold the Senate. You know, Democrats do hold the Senate right now, and the additional fear is like if they lose the Senate as well as the presidency. You know, so like what the argument is, this is kind of like a small closing window where they have the Senate and they have a Democratic president, to where you replace Sotomayor. And then for the most part, Jackson, super young. Kagan doesn't seem like she's necessarily unhealthy, right? So if you replace
she's
her...
She's also the worst of the liberal justices. So
she's absolutely the worst.
I wish we could keep Sotomayor. I wish they could switch bodies or something.
Yeah. I hate Kagan. But yeah, if they were to do that, then you would basically solidify that 3... liberal minority on the court, and it wouldn't shrink. Like, it's just a matter of like, we're already in such a bad position, not losing anymore. I think in the long term it's going to make a big difference. Short term, not going to help us much, but long term, it's important. Like, how many more rights do we have to lose? We don't even know the outcome of some of these recent cases that they took up. Like, are they going to get rid of the Chevron doctrine? That like huge implications. So like, it's just about like mitigating damage at this point. To me, it's all strategic, and that's where I'm coming from. I don't, it's not like I hate Sotomayor. I love old people, contrary to popular belief. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I mean, I don't hate old people, right? But like, let's not fuck ourselves over.
Mike, let me warn you, Mike, that old creeps up on you real fast.
I know.
You will be old.
You will be. You will be what you hate.
I am feeling it.
I mean,
I will hate myself.
We have the gray hair coalition at the bottom, so
Right.
No, it's just a lot of the old people in my family, they are like very, very. They give me a bad perception of old people. They're Republican, annoying, and they're not even that old. You know what I mean? It's just people that I hate that are assholes. It's not necessarily old people. It's a meme that I got to keep going. But yeah, I don't hate Sotomayor.
You know what I can't help but think when we discuss this, we can't get them to be Lance. I love strategery. They won't do any of George Bush's strategery with Sotomayor. So I guess we could just forget about any chance of them actually like packing the court and actually balancing it out and maneuvering in the same kind of way Republicans maneuvered over the last. I mean, they worked on it for years. They worked on it for years, and as soon as they saw an opportunity to seize those court picks, they did that. So I guess if we can't even get them to really think about getting someone to retire in time to prevent an even more cataclysmic, court, then we could really forget about them doing something structural in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of speaks to the mentality of Democratic Party elites at the moment. They feel entitled to these positions of power. And I get it. Like, I think it feels gross to really single out Sotomayor, but the reasons are valid. It's not like it's just, I hate her in particular. No, she is vulnerable, and it's scary to see somebody have health issues and be in that position of power and could
what are
cause
the health
people
issues? Are they something
I don't know in particular, but she was like admitted to the hospital like a couple of months ago. And look, that could happen to anyone, right? So it's not necessarily just like, oh, she's old and she's dying. It's just, I don't know. It's just about being cautious.
It's a numbers game. It's the odds game. We can't keep playing like this.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, people are just worried, rightfully so, because it wasn't that long ago when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, right? And like, she only had to make it a couple more months, but she couldn't, because guess what? When nature calls, nature calls. You can't fight that, right? It's the force of nature.
That's not what I think about when we say nature calls. But no. I remember where I was when she died, man. I remember. It's what's crazy to me is that moment is actually still very present for me.
Yeah.
I remember when she died, and I'm like, oh my God, we're getting ready to go to Handmaid's Tale, because I knew that they were going to seize that moment and do exactly what they did. And here we are, again, like, we're just talking about the numbers game, but it repeats itself. If they don't learn their lesson, history most certainly is going to repeat itself.
Yeah,
it was bizarre to see all like the when she died, to see all like the eulogies and the obituaries that were like heralding her as a feminist icon, and it's like her decisions are literally going to be the cause of the dismantling of Roe v. Wade, which is what we saw. Yeah. So like, it was so amazing to watch. Like, yes, you can say this about her, but at the end of the day, the decision she made at the end of her career to me will define her going forward for good. Right. I mean, this is her legacy, unfortunately, for anyone who loves her so much.
Yeah, I got the mentality that I understand the mentality in Washington, D.C. now. It's like, how dare you try to interrupt my episode of West Wing? How dare you try to interrupt my episode of Madam Secretary? Like, this was about me. Sorry, RGB, love you, mean it, but like, they didn't want anybody to mess up the perfect ending where she was supposed to die in office and everything was supposed to work out perfectly. And I think the people surrounding them really think we should not have the nerve, the the audacity of us to interrupt their life story.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I'm remembering like pre-vaccine COVID era. Like I think this was a couple of months into the pandemic, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was marrying couples without a mask. Like I saw the pictures, and I was just like, "What is she doing?" I mean, are we really gonna? Like she was outside, right? But she was very close with them, and I'm just like, "Listen, put this lady in a bubble or some shit. Like, what exactly is going on here? Are we just like rolling the dice with fate here?" And she did. You know what I mean? It's not like she was healthy already, so it's just like it just feels so frustrating because we're so powerless in this situation, right? We're hoping and crossing our fingers that people in power be strategic and they don't like risk our rights for their own careers. And I guess that's too much to ask. It's offensive to some people. It's preposterous to some Senate Democrats.